Congratulations, you've done a lot of work. You've read a bunch of personal narratives and college essays, given a lot of thought to your own ideas and even gotten some feedback on those ideas, and you made your choice about which type of writing you want to do. So now it's time to finally start writing. But slowly. You want to create a central focus for your essay, and that will come in the form of a thesis. If you're used to other teachers saying thesis, that's great, but if you've heard thesis statement or claim or even assertion, those are synonymous for our purposes here. They mean the same thing, more or less. Your thesis is going to tell your audience what you are going to tell them in your essay. Your thesis may sound different in this essay than in previous types of writing. The thesis is about a very unique subject. It's about you. Whether you're writing a personal narrative or college essay, you're telling a story in some way about yourself. So the thesis might sound narrative, it might sound explanatory, or it might even sound argumentative in its own way. It will be about you, whether directly or indirectly. Because of all this, it may sound different than other thesis statements you've written in the past, and that's just fine. Although you are only at the stage of thesis development, which means you're trying to get one or maybe two or three sentences together to represent the controlling idea in your essay, let's talk just for a second about organization and style. You may have been told that your thesis must be the final sentence of your first paragraph. And that's okay. As you read through the personal narratives and college essays, you learn that the placement of the thesis may vary, and where the thesis goes directly impacts the rest of the essay. As you write your thesis, thinking about where in your essay it might go could change the way you want it to sound. Give some consideration to where the location of your thesis might be, and then how that would impact your audience's reading experience. You will certainly use first-person pronouns in this essay, like I, me, mine, we, us, our, ours. But does that mean you'll use one in your thesis? Maybe. You are in control of the language you use. Throughout your essay, you might use first-person pronouns, but you will also use third-person pronouns like he, she, it, his, her, hers, its, they, them, their, theirs. And in rare circumstances, you might use you, which is a second-person pronoun. But you certainly don't want all of your sentences to start with I, and that might be true for your thesis too. You will need to seriously consider your sentence construction so that even when the story is about you, it doesn't sound like everything is about you. Consider also your verb tenses. You will need to use present tense verbs and past tense verbs, and you might even use future tense verbs. Consider how verb tenses make your audience feel differently. Past tense verbs have a sense of finality, something that's over and done with. Present tense verbs have a sense of the now, a sense of action, and a sense of urgency. Future tense verbs can be powerful demonstrations of your beliefs about yourself or the world in the future. Or the conditional future tense like could or might or may, should, would, can demonstrate your hope or your unknown feelings about what things might be. So which verb tenses will you use in your thesis? Consider the overall tone and voice you want to establish using present tense, past tense, or future tense verbs in your thesis. As you develop your thesis, don't be afraid to revise it over and over until it feels right. It may only be one sentence, but it may not be right the first time. As the controlling idea of your essay, it's important that you get it right. And I know that doesn't happen to me every time I sit down at my desk the first time. Anyway, as your essay evolves, so will your thesis. The goal at this stage of your writing is to know the controlling idea of your essay, not to make sure that you have a perfect sentence. Once you have written a clear sentence, you will have the launching point for the rest of your essay.
Created using Powtoon.